Hey there, Coach Steph Kelsey here. I am excited to talk to you about teens and dating today. Yay, all parents' favorite subject. Don't worry, I'm here for you. Okay, so we're going to dive into that. And yeah, how do we navigate these years? It can be really difficult, but it is doable. Many have done it before us. So teens and dating, number one, I want you to remember to empathize by remembering. I want you to think back. I know it might be a long time ago, but I want you to think back, and I want you to really dig in. What were those feelings? What were you going through? The thrill of somebody liking you, the thrill of somebody holding your hand, just those really sweet times of experiencing new things. And yes, that might mean some scary things that we want to, navigate carefully. But also there is those heartbreaks. Remember back to those. Remember how you can be on cloud nine one moment and then days, minutes, weeks later, you might be picking your kid up off the floor. I remember one of my very first relationships, and I was actually the one to break up with him. I felt like it was too serious, too fast, and it was too much for me. And I remember literally losing my appetite. I wasn't hungry for days. So it was hard on me, even though I was the one that broke up with him in that instant. So anyhow, there's so many things going on. I want you as a parent to really think back and think of what that felt like, and be able to empathize and let your kid know, like, you're not just this old person that doesn't understand anything, that you do understand, that you've been there also. That really helps in building relationship with your teen, which is our second point, build relationship. You need to really take that time to be there, be a sounding board as much as possible. Don't freak out about dating years. Don't come with all of this, I'm so worried and you're gonna do the worst things possible. Try to come in a way that you are wanting to hear their thoughts, hear where they are. The more you know about where they are in processing their relationships, the more that they can feel safe to talk to you about it. How much better for you to be a safe enough place that they can talk to you instead of hiding or lying or sneaking out or all these other things. Like, find that common ground and find that place where you can say, yeah, I knew what that felt like. So that's super important, to be continuing to build those relationships through empathy. And then I want to ask you not to parent out of your fears, not out of offense. You're offended with your child and the way that they're handling themselves, or out of your childhood. So if you're parenting your kids out of fear, maybe you were a very wild teen that got up to a bunch of no good, and your fear is, I've been there, done that, I know what it's like, so I'm pulling way back and giving you no room to experience your own things because I'm afraid you're going to do exactly what I did. That's called parenting out of fear. Instead of parenting out of fear, you need to be able to step back and have a look. Where is this child's maturity, ability? What have they shown me in their life that is trustworthy? And not just rip the carpet out from underneath of them and say, nope, I'm parenting out of my experience and I will never let this happen. So don't do that. Don't parent out of fears. I have seen people parent out of fears in a way that their parents were super easy on them and they felt like that didn't go well with them. So they're going to parent much stronger, much firmer, much more disciplined. Anytime we go to an extreme to get away from our childhood, we're probably overdoing it on the other side. If we decide, nope, my parents were very lenient and look, I turned out fine in the end, I'm just gonna let it go. We'll see what happens. you may want to consider pivoting that a little bit, being a little bit more involved and letting them know, hey, I'm here to help with decisions. I'm here to get you off the hook. Again, I remember dating this guy. I was way too young and it was getting too serious for the age that I was. And I remember my dad coming to me and saying, hey, if you need to blame me, if you ever want out of a relationship, you can. You can say, my dad won't let me, and I will take the brunt of that. I actually needed that. It helped me so much to be able to go to this person who I was feeling pressure to give in sexually, even though I didn't want to go there. And without my dad knowing that that was happening, because I didn't feel comfortable sharing that with him, he still gave me this easy out, and I used it. I told him my dad will not allow us to date, and that was the end of that relationship. So finding those places again that you can just bring in that relationship, you can empathize with them, you're not parenting out of your fears or failures or mistakes, but you're looking at who your child is, where you can trust them. Kids in their teens and dating, they need room to grow. They need room to make mistakes. They don't need to be held on a tight leash. It just makes it worse. So building those relationships helps so much. Not parenting out of offense. Ooh, this brings me into our next point. It's don't distance yourself. So when that offense can come on from a parent, I'm offended that they're speaking to me this way. I'm offended that they won't help around the house. I'm offended that they're being little brats. I'm offended that they are entitled. Like, there's all these places where offense can come in. And when you are parenting out of an offense, you're often withdrawing. You're saying, I don't want that behavior. I don't want to be around you. I'm pulling back. And I want to encourage you not to do that. There are ways that you can bring a confrontation to that behavior without withdrawing your love, without withdrawing your presence. They need you present in their life at this time. So find those ways to have those conversations. Like, hey, do you know that it really hurts me when you talk to me like that? Press into that situation. Don't withdraw and just want to be done with it and be away from it. Having those compassionate moments, talking about your feelings, oh, that can be hard sometimes. But if you work on practicing how that made you feel when this action happened, that will give them a place to think and ponder that their actions make a difference. So another thing could be just to be able to set that boundary. Setting parameters, that's our next point. Setting parameters is because of love, not to control behavior. If you are trying to set parameters for your teen and their dating because you just don't want them to do a bunch of stuff, you're wanting to control them, that is one of the worst mistakes that we can make. We need to set parameters because we love them. And then what does that conversation look like? That conversation looks like, hey, I know you're excited about this guy, this girl. I know you're excited about it. I remember those feelings. I remember how exhilarating it is. Because of that, I want you to slow down a little bit and not just run head first. But I want you to know that I'm here for you if you have any issues. I want you to know that I'm your greatest defender. I love you so much. I want the very best for you. I want you to know if I see red flags that you're not paying attention to, I'll love you enough to tell you and we can talk about it. I want you to know that I'm still going to be here for you through this process of dating. And as you do that and you set those parameters and you're letting them know, I'm not putting boundaries up because I don't love you. I'm putting boundaries up because I know what it's like to want to wait to have a sexual relationship, but in the moment feel pressured and maybe give in to some things that you don't want to do because the feel good is so great in that moment. I'm not doing that to control you, my dear. I'm doing that because I want you to be healthy. I want you to keep enough separation between you and that other person that you can see clearly whether this is the right thing for you or not. And once you get those emotions all mixed up in the middle of it and you're running just headlong into it, it's really hard to pull yourself back and have good perspective. So if I have a boundary that you're getting too hot and heavy, you're moving too fast, those kinds of things, I want you to know that I'm for you. I love you so much. I would hate for anything to happen to you or for me not to be able to be there for you in the ways that I should as a parent. So that's kind of an example of a way to approach, or words and ways to really bring affirmation to your child and letting them know that all of these conversations, all of the boundaries, the parameters that you're putting in place has nothing to do with trying to control them. It has to do with giving them a safe place to run and be free and have fun, and yet they can pull back where they need to pull back. So I hope this is really helpful. Your teens, they're really striving to hear you say good things about them. So make sure you let them know how proud you are of them, how thankful you are for them. Empathize with how hard the season can be for them. Make sure you're telling them the really good things that you see and not all the things you think they're making mistakes. Because this is the time to practice in a safe place in your home. They get to practice what it will be like to be an adult one day. So give them lots of grace, lots of love, lots of affirmation, and keep building those relationships so you can have healthy, happy relationships, even if it can be touch and go. Again, if you need encouragement, I dropped another YouTube that's all just encouragement for parents of teens. So look for that one and be encouraged. Lots of blessings. Life can be messy, but you don't have to be. Thanks for being with me, friends. Have a great day.